Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Division Z podcast. My name is Jason.
And I am K Cosmic.
Today, we got a little bit of news to talk about. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but there's this game coming out later at the end of the year. I mean, I don't know if how many of y'all heard about it. Modern Warfare 2. I don't know.
Yes. Supposedly it's a sequel to Modern Warfare 2019. I mean, I don't know if the name would give it away or not. It's quite an odd name to have as a sequel, just throwing a 2 at the end of it. But oh god.
But anyway, we got Modern Warfare 2 news. We had the reveal and all that. Vanguard actually added a new multiplayer map that's not bad. Warzone changes and updates, and some other things we'll talk about later on down the line. Just because we're a podcast and we talk about things, so
we talk. Yes.
I guess without further ado, we'll just jump right into it. Modern Warfare 2. How are you feeling about everything that we've received so far for the game? I mean, I know it's not been a lot, but how do you feel?
It's been enough. I think I'm excited for it. I really like the artwork that they're revealing, and I really enjoyed the meme material that has come out of it as well. A lot of characters that are in the Modern Warfare series have turned up on posters. I don't know if you've seen a few of them. No, but
I don't know about that, but I'm sure people have found a way to make memes out of everything, right?
Yes, yeah. I think the actual reveal itself was quite cool, and funnily enough, it was actually leaked like a week beforehand, but people thought it was fake.
Right.
It was on Instagram and got leaked, and people were like, this isn't real. But no, it seemed like a lot of effort for the reveal, but it looks cool. Definitely looks cool. I think some way to review a game, it shows that they're definitely, somewhat confident in the product, and especially comparing that to like their past few games as well. And can I just say, and I want to reiterate this because I'm really passionate about it. I'm just happy that they're not doing the same thing they did with Black Ops Cold War, where it took like 2 months for them to reveal the game, where there was like little bit by little bit, radio by radio. I'm just glad that we got the logo and a little teaser for it.
With
that's all I need.
Pawn takes pawn, all that. You don't want Pawn takes pawn part 2?
I don't. I really don't. And we see what Treyarch's next game. Just don't do it. Just give us the logo. Dude, it's not worth it.
you know what I would do if I was Treyarch? I would totally bait the hell out of the community. I would say, all right, the Black Ops Cold War 2, right? For the next teaser. Have the first teaser be like some kind of cipher or whatever, right? For like a day. Right? So Treyarch just puts out like a cipher, and it's totally a red herring, and it's just the total misdirect. And then the next day, they just like, all right, haha, we got you guys. Here's the trailer. Like,
here's the trailer.
Just totally mess with everybody. Just give them a red herring with the, look at this cipher. You have to just solve it, and you have to get the trailer unlocked. And it's like the next day, we fooled you. Because
here's the trailer. Yeah. Here's the trailer. I mean, they can do that. Because people I think people mostly care more about Treyarch games than they do Infinity Ward games in terms of like overall products. I mean, like campaign multiplayer and zombies, obviously. I know there's people that prefer multiplayer with like Modern Warfare, but I think if they wanted to do that, they definitely could. But please don't. Please don't. Just give us the you can do something cool like the Black Ops 4 reveal where you got 2 guys to cut a bit of metal to make the Black Ops 4 symbol. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course.
There was a half an hour live stream with just people cutting metal. I mean that was funny, but that was in one sitting.
It was really funny about that too. Like like you had so many people like trying to clown on the Call of Duty community to be like, whoa guys, they're cutting metal, and like, whoa, this is the craziest thing ever. It's like, y'all are a bunch of weirdos. Like, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, right? Because like it is just cutting metal, but I like that period of time where it was just that's all we had for Black Ops 4, and like people were like, metal. Like, so it's like, I guess they have, like, they have a reason to kind of make fun of our community in that way. But, I don't know. It's just really funny.
I think what was more funny was the lead up to it. Because obviously it was like kind of like a full video. It wasn't just like like the highlights, if I remember. It was like the full thing of them
Yeah,
just like
no.
cutting metal.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there was good shots in that off it, but then you just got to the end and it was the Black Ops 4 symbol.
It's like,
And
whoa, 4.
4, oh my god! Instead of Black Ops 3, it's 4, and the
I
symbol
mean,
looks like a shield.
I,
Oh my god!
I will say the logo is cool. You know, you cut it out of metal and all that. I hang that on a wall
Yeah,
or something. That'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, compare that to Modern Warfare 2. You got the boats lining up at the harbor,
yeah.
and
I think that's a little bit
that's pretty
better, to
that's
be
pretty
honest. I
cool
think,
actually. And you
yeah, I
know,
think that's
they
cooler than the metal
had
being
drone
cut.
shots and like that's really really neat.
Yeah,
So hey, you know
and
what? There's the cover art. At least I assume it's the cover art, right?
yeah,
And then you have
is
the
the main.
characters.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think the main cover art is Ghost, is it, or is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
the
the
main.
main cover art is Ghosts. Ghosts. No, not that. Not the
Go,
game, but Ghost.
Call of Duty Ghost 2.
Singular. um,
The first one.
and then if I had to guess, because there's gonna be like different editions of the game, right? If I had to guess, maybe like Captain Price is a different edition of the game, and then Soap is another edition of the game, and then I don't know. I this new character named Alejandro is supposed to be part of this thing. Is he the villain or
Mm,
something, or is he like part of the task force? Like, I don't know. People noticed that his last name was Vargas, so people have I've seen connect the dots to Black Ops Cold War because you have the Vargas operator in that game. So
yeah.
people are, there's something going on here. So we got this new character that good guy,
Mm,
bad guy, I'm not really sure. But considering Vargas was a Soviet back, or not a Soviet, but he was aligned with the Warsaw Pact in Black Ops Cold War. Maybe he's a bad guy, this Alejandro character in the new game. I don't know. But meh.
all I'm saying is, I really hope that Ghost in this universe hasn't played our version of Modern Warfare 2.
I mean, if Shepard comes back,
I mean, that's true. I mean, that's true, though.
would
Like,
Shepard come back at all? To be honest,
I think if Shepard came back, it'd be pretty obvious. And I think what they would do,
well, no,
I
they
think
would,
as
they would
I think,
totally misdirect us because
yeah,
they know how iconic that moment is in the entire
I think the
franchise.
opposite would happen.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think they do like a complete opposite, where obviously
Right,
Ghost's still the good guy, right? He's still good, but
right,
somehow he kills Shepard.
right. Like
But I think
Ghost
if
actually
Shepard's in
gets
the
the jump
game,
on Shepard and then
yeah.
actually does that, or I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I again, like you're saying, I think they would misdirect us with that, and maybe he actually wouldn't be that big of a character. Maybe he'd get more involved with Modern Warfare 3,
Yeah,
which will probably come out. I would think
I
maybe.
don't know to be honest. Like,
I mean, the only thing that would say maybe not is all like the deals and that going on right now, and
right,
obviously, well, actually, we can talk about this as well. How I think PlayStation are still going to have like exclusivity
right.
rights until like 2026,
Yeah,
which I think
so no,
they were kind of
maybe
saying.
not that far. Is it that far? I didn't hear a date, but
Or I think it could
PlayStation.
last until then. At
Hmm.
max, maybe. I know people are kind of just assuming until like Treyarch's next title, and then when that game comes out,
Well,
which is good because
yeah.
then it means I have a reason for having a PS5 because I
I,
don't
I
have a
mean,
reason
to
for
be
having a
honest, man,
PS5.
I think it'll all depend. It all depend on when or if this deal will close between Activision and Microsoft, because they're going through all the legalities of it right now.
Yeah,
So depending on when that deal actually closes and what their plan is going to be, I mean, supposedly the deal is supposed to be closing sometime next year, if everything goes smoothly and according to their plan. So I'm not entirely sure, but what we
mm.
do know for sure is though that Modern Warfare 2 is going to be a PlayStation exclusive like experience kind of a
Because
thing.
they
But
leaked it by accident, didn't they? They weren't supposed to, but they put
something like
play
that.
first on PS4 or something,
Yeah, something
and in the
along those
description as
lines.
well. So or
Which
PlayStation 5.
I assume the same thing will probably happen with this year that happened with the, original Modern Warfare season back in 2019, 2018 when that was all building up. Or 2018. What am I talking about?
Modern Warfare
But with
2018.
I have no idea where that came from. But the maybe Gunfight Alpha coming out. If they put a Gunfight again in this game, that'd be awesome. Or maybe not just Gunfight. Maybe it'll just be regular multiplayer beta first on PlayStation for a week, and then the next week everybody else gets
What,
it. Like,
what
I
was
don't
that
know.
really bad? What was that really bad game mode they had in Vanguard Champion Hill? Was that it?
Yeah,
That was
yeah, no, I
maybe
don't
they'll
want
bring
that.
that
No,
back.
no, I refuse to have
Dude,
Champion Hill back.
I love Champion Hill. Oh my god, it's like battle royale, but gunfight. Oh
I
yeah,
refuse to
I
have Champion
love
Hill back.
Champion Hill. Me and the boys love grinding
No,
Champion Hill.
me and the boys do not like Champion Hill. Gunfight is the superior version, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Champion Hill is just like, yeah,
like
it's a
I
bit too
appreciate the
long.
ambition. I appreciate the ambition, and I appreciate them trying something new because it is new, and you want them to try new things. But for me personally, didn't really resonate as much as Gunfight. I'm sure a lot of other people out there do like it, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know who does, but I'm sure there are people.
I like how there's like a tournament style to it.
Right.
Like I like
that. That is a good
that's
feature,
cool.
I will say.
I do like that, and I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know. It just doesn't hit as well as Gunfight. I don't know.
And then you realize, Gunfight has tournament mode too, where
and
it's like
got
single
content.
elimination bracket, and yeah, you win the tournament, you get a blueprint. So that's
like
pretty
you
cool.
got a reward. And
yeah,
and saying that as well, did Champion Hill even get any like anything in terms of content, like new maps or anything?
No, we didn't get any new maps for Champion Hill. But there was an LTM for it that was actually kind of fun, but at the same time, it was like, okay, it was just whatever for like a week. It was Champion Hill rocket launchers only.
I remember that. Yes, RPGs, wasn't it?
And I played a few rounds of that, and it actually wasn't too bad, but it was only around for like a week, so I didn't really get to truly sink my teeth into it and go, ooh, this is a good iteration of it. And then I don't know, the bottom line is I'm just not as interested in Champion Hill as I am in just Gunfight, but
yeah, I think that's also maybe down to like just the fact that it's on Vanguard. Like, I mean, if Modern Warfare tried to do something like that, because obviously that game did it well, and Black Ops Cold War also did it quite well, maybe it would have been done a little bit like better. I think it would have worked maybe better on Black Ops because that's more like the arcadey like fast shooter.
Potentially.
Here's the thing, right? I don't know why. You see every COD game that comes out, it seems like they try and make a new game mode, and then that's it. Like that, then it seems to never come back because it doesn't resonate. Like, for example, you had Black Ops 4, right? You had the heist mode. That was it. Heist, which wasn't bad, but it was kind of like I didn't really. It
was okay.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah, it was okay. It wouldn't be something I'd play like religiously because it was just okay. Right. But then you have game modes like War, where it's like a completely different game mode from like World War II, for obviously, right?
Yeah.
And that's a game mode you think would like come back, and Vanguard would have been a perfect game to do it in.
100%, dude. I actually really enjoyed War from World War II, even though I didn't play a lot of World War II. I really enjoyed that game mode when I found myself playing the multiplayer. That's what I played most of the time. So something like that would have been so cool. And I almost feel like with what Combined Arms almost tried to be with Black Ops Cold War, and how it's like this large scale war with vehicles, and there's so many open areas, and you have to capture 6 objective points. Like, Combined Arms is definitely cool, but you kind of have to be in the mood for it. But so I kind of feel like Treyarch's version of War tried to be Combined Arms, and like War itself could have been, like you said, a good game mode for World War II again, if they wanted to bring that back into the era of World War II. And I don't know, like, definitely attempts have been made to have different game modes and to have different things here and there thrown into the mix. But the thing is, a lot of these game modes really don't get updated that much. And we've only really seen this happen with one game mode. And what game mode was that? Gunfight. And that's like the only new game mode that was consistently updated with new maps, new weapons, new LTMs, tournaments, and you win blueprints at the end of those tournaments. Like, out of all the new era Call of Duty game modes, that's the only one that's getting attention, which, by the way, thank you, of course. I mean, a lot of people like Gunfight. But other things should have the chance to develop and become better. And that's why it's super confusing to see why Champion Hill doesn't get any updates. And it's just shallow. And it's just like, these the maps aren't very good to begin with. First of all, I just in my
Yeah,
opinion,
they're just kind of basic, aren't they? They're not like
yeah.
masterpieces or anything like that. They don't have the greatest layout.
I mean, they all look
Um,
the same. That's the problem. Like,
yeah.
I know it's supposed to be like this. Ooh, all the players are in the map at the same time, and it's like the same like camp, training ground, like environment, right? But
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just weird. It just feels really,
Yeah.
really weird. All the maps look the exact same to me, and a lot of them play almost the exact same, where there's
I
always
mean,
one PowerPoint on the top of the tower or whatever that people go to, and then people camp there, and then it's boring. Like, I don't
the
know.
thing is, right, is since this is obviously a Sledgehammer game, if we
Mhm.
reflect back on their past games and their game modes, they've actually done a lot of like fun, unique stuff. Like even in Advanced Warfare, right? You had Uplink, which is a great game mode that should come back.
Yes,
I really enjoy Uplink.
I did
You
like that
had
as well.
obviously it doesn't really matter now, but they had a grapple hook game mode in Advanced Warfare as well, where you could have a grapple
Did
hook
they?
and you could, yeah, it was a DLC game mode and it only
Hmm.
was on some maps, but essentially you load in and then you have a grapple hook, so you can launch yourself on the other side of the map. But it was a fun. It changed the game flow
Man,
obviously
I
because
didn't know
you could
that.
zoom around the place. And then obviously in World War II you had War, which is War, and it is a great game mode.
Yeah.
I think the main thing about making a game mode, if they're gonna make a new one, is it needs to be something that changes the pace completely in terms of like
Yeah.
it's not like collecting dog tags or search and rescue where like someone dies and you can bring them back.
Hmm.
Even though search and rescue is a good game mode. It needs to be something where it completely just changes the flow. Like Infected, for example. That's
Yeah,
why Infected has been around for so long, because it
for
completely
sure.
changes like the whole dynamic of the game, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the one game mode where it's like okay to camp. You know what I mean? It's the one game mode where you can actually camp
Because
with good reason
in
as well.
fact, it's a party game mode,
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
whatever. It's
yeah,
almost like they need to do more party game modes for
yeah.
sure.
Speaking of that, like what does Vanguard have? Does that even have like gun game and stuff, or does it not?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't think
so.
so. Because that's like that's like one of the main like important things. People are excited when things like gun game and that come
I
back.
mean,
I think
yeah,
obviously Cold
like
War had a lot of part. I think they had a lot of event game modes, didn't they?
I'm thinking back right now. I just played Vanguard yesterday. What was at the main menu? Well, you have quick play, then you have Sphere 24/7, which we'll talk about that in a second. Actually a good map. Uh Das House, or not Das House, Ship House 24/7. You have Champion Hill, private game, custom game, I think, something like that. And then like maybe one other playlist that's like big game mosh pit or like big map mosh pit, something like that. Yeah, I don't think there's any party game modes
So
in Vanguard right now.
so
No.
they have Vanguard, Arms Race, Team Deathmatch,
Arms
Domination,
Race. That's what it is.
Kill Confirmed, Search and Destroy, Patrol, Free for All, Hardpoint.
Which Arms Race, even though I have yet to play it, from what I've seen from gameplay and what people have talked about, it seems like their version of Fireteam Dirty Bomb. With Treyarch tried that, and that was kind of
Yeah.
Treyarch's newer game mode that they tried to introduce to Black Ops Cold War, and not a lot of people really played that either.
No.
Uh,
Yeah.
so this is kind of their version to try to recreate that. Again, I have yet to play it. I don't know if it's good, mainly because I just haven't been as invested in Vanguard. So I have been like chomping at the bit to try out all the new game modes and things like that. But one thing that I did try out, and one thing that I do actually like, is the new map that they added with Season 3
Mhm.
Reloaded, and that's Sphere. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a multiplayer map in a facade of a mining town, and there's like a facility bunker thing underneath, and it's a fairly small map. Like I would say it's like smallish, medium sized map, and I think it's pretty good. It's got a lot of good lanes. It's got a lot of secret areas you can flank the enemy from, and I don't know. Just overall a pretty fun map actually,
Yeah.
and that's saying something considering I don't really like most of the maps in Vanguard, but I'm having a fun time with this one.
Yeah, it's nice that the game's actually gotten a good map. I haven't played it
Yeah.
myself, but the visuals of the map are really nice. I thought, from what I was hearing, it's gonna be a very like dull and not nice looking map.
Hmm.
Kind of like I'm not saying Vanguard maps overall aren't the most exciting looking, but they're very like toned down from obviously coming
Well,
from Black Ops
I
Cold
mean, the
War.
main color palette is like brown.
Yeah, obviously, right? And
So
that's to be expected because it's a World War II game. I'm not expecting rainbows and that all over the place, but this map just does it right. I don't know. I like the colors in the map. I think,
mm,
the aesthetics are nice of the map as well. And like you're saying, the flow in that's nice as well, which you can't obviously say about a lot of the Vanguard multiplayer maps. So,
not
yeah,
particularly.
a rare occasional win for Vanguard.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to call out the victories when you call them out. I mean,
Exactly. We're not completely
people.
awful. If something done right, then we'll, we're gonna say it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, as much as we are super critical of Vanguard, and as much as we've maybe talked down on the game, we have to say when something's good, and I think the map is a good map.
yeah.
And Season 3 Reloaded added a new SMG as well, which one thing that I am actually going to complain about a little bit are the like some of the weapon challenges that we get
That's
in
always been an issue with Vanguard, foe.
well, the thing is, I know it all started in Cold War, where like Cold War's
Yeah,
weapon challenges were kind of like, okay, what are we doing here, dude? Like the
yeah.
OTS-9 challenge, I will never forget because so many people commented on my video about the OTS-9 to complain about it with me. And it was, oh yeah, you have to kill 50 Tempests 2 seconds after they're done teleporting. And it's like, why is that a challenge? So,
They just want you to buy the bundles. That's why. They were
yeah,
like,
no.
okay, you can earn them. You just have to spend 24 hours doing the
Ah,
most tedious,
no, you're
ridiculous
not
tasks
wrong.
that you wouldn't normally have to do. Like
Yeah.
make it, I don't know. Even like, like it was like get like how many headshots with a weapon class or something,
Mhm.
or like get slide kills or whatever. It makes more sense. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's speaking of slide kills. That's exactly what the challenge for the new SMG is. You have to get 3 slide kills with an SMG in 15 different matches.
Okay,
So
so, that's not
that's
too bad,
that's
is it?
not too bad for multiplayer. Then for you go into
What's for zombies?
zombies, and like the
What happens in
zombies
zombies?
challenge on paper doesn't sound too bad. You have to kill 50 Zabalas with an SMG. Okay, on
Oh,
paper, that doesn't sound too bad, right? Because
sounds easy,
we previously
but
had a challenge to kill 50 Sturmkriegers, and that one wasn't the worst. So it's like, okay, this one doesn't sound too bad. But then you realize that, number one, Zabala the Deceiver is a really annoying enemy. And number two, Zabala doesn't show up as frequently as the Stormkriegers do. So you
yeah.
kind of have to be creative a little bit. And what I recommended people do is you play Duran Fong, go into the Void, and then starting at round 6 in the Void is when she'll start spawning in every round. So that's like the way I was able to do it a little bit quicker than like, oh, I got to go into an objective and then do. But the one thing that's super annoying about the Vanguard challenges, and I'm sure a lot of other people at home have experienced the same thing, with how unstable Vanguard is, and the game boots you, and the game crashes, and the game lags, and. Dude, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. It took me like 5 hours to record the video for the tutorial,
And
which
that's
is
just
which is
too long.
absurd.
Like,
It's too long
yeah.
because the game kept crashing. The game kept, oh, you're not connected to an internet connection. Yes, I am. I'm literally like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? So I think that's part of the reason why these Vanguard challenges are also really tedious to do, because the game is so unstable that it just doesn't work. And then plus the challenges sometimes don't track. The challenges straight up like don't track a lot of the times in Vanguard. I was
Yeah.
lucky that this time this one did track, but it's just this mess, and it just goes back to Vanguard in itself being a
Yeah.
mess. And again, these challenges on paper don't sound too bad until you actually get into the nitty-gritty of it and you go, well, the way Vanguard Zombies in itself works, that's going to be annoying. Oh, and then it gets really hard randomly for no reason. There's no like difficulty scaling. Oh, and then the game
Yeah.
crashes. Oh, and then sometimes it doesn't track. And
Man,
I don't know.
I'm telling you, I really hope for their sake that Shinonuma is a good map when it comes out. Again,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play
Yeah.
it regardless. I'm expecting the worst anyway because and again, it's not their fault. We all understand that they're rushed to make this thing that they wouldn't want to
Mm-hmm.
make in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not gonna be like, this is Treyarch, this is all Treyarch, so they're awful
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, I've got some pretty
right?
low expectations for this.
Yeah, but my expectations are super low because it's Vanguard, and obviously, I don't think their main focus is to make money off this game anymore. I think they just want to keep face and be like, okay, at least get one map in here. that's
Yeah.
somewhat decent. Even though I think they're having another one coming in season 5, supposedly. So we'll see how that goes. I hope I'm gonna hold my breath because anything can happen. But I think that's
Yeah.
Shinonuma is gonna make or break round based maps in Vanguard. If Shinonuma
Shinonuma
does awful,
Shinonuma Reborn is just gonna make or break Vanguard. Like,
oh
let's
yeah,
be
no,
honest here.
I think for zombies, if it does awful and no one enjoys it, and there's in terms of like actually like fundamentally, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. Let's say the map comes out, it's normal survival based. You have your waves and that, you have your Easter egg, but it's just not fun, right? It's
Right.
just not good, which can happen. You get a few like stinkers along the way, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's bound to happen. I
Yeah.
think in a way, Firebase Z was good, but also when it came out, maybe it got a little bit boring quite a bit after.
I mean, yeah,
A little bit.
Firebase Z, I think, is the weaker of the
Yeah.
maps in
Even though
Black Ops Cold War. Even though I
I
actually
enjoy it
kind of
more.
like what it did with the assault waves, and
Oh yeah.
like introducing Orda and introducing other characters
Yeah.
like Peck and Kravchenko, and and they're in the zombie storyline. So it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, Firebase
I
Z
enjoy
does
it for
good
what it is.
stuff. Yeah,
And I think with Firebase Z as well, as time's gone on, I appreciate it more.
yeah,
But I think as well, I think a zombie map not necessarily needs to do this, but it should always look at the blast map that comes out and see how it can like progress from that in terms of gameplay, right?
right.
So if we look back, okay, we know it's not going to be better than any of the Black Ops Cold War maps. We just know because it's
Mhm,
Shinonuma, right? So we know it's not going to be better than any of the past, and we're all going in with this expectation that we
mhm.
know it's just going to be a normal round based, World
Like
at War esque map.
it's gonna be Shinonuma with an Easter egg, basically, is
Yeah,
what's gonna be happening.
yes, so that is all that's going to be happening. So I
Wh-
don't think we're going to be as excited, obviously, as like anything
Well,
in the past like few years. If you get
the
what I mean?
I get what you mean, but I think the one thing that can really get people invested in this is what happens story-wise with
Oh
Shinonuma.
yeah, go
Because
all out in the story. You need to do
yeah,
something to
yeah, if they have a good story with this that connects back to Black Ops Cold War, or something that is supposed to be, oh, we're on a cliffhanger for the 4th map that's going to be like some crazy dark ether battle, whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, but as
Yeah.
long as there's like some kind of really good story that helps us tie in and helps the fan go, okay, there's a reason that this game existed, instead of like, what the fuck is this game?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing that I think. But then, with an Easter egg on Shinonuma, I think it can be fun depending on what they do. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with the expectations being so low, I don't really expect them to go super crazy with this. But if they do go super crazy, cool. That's wonderful. And there's supposed to be a new Wonder Weapon as well coming with Shinonuma Reborn. Cool. Okay, let's see what the new Wonder Weapon is going to be. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but the thing with Shinonuma, this is the last map, and I know I said this with Terra Maledicta, but more
This is
so
different.
now, this is like the ultimatum, because this is round based. This is what the community has been praising as the pinnacle of zombies, and that's round based.
Yeah.
So if Treyarch does not deliver a good map for Shinonuma Reborn, then Vanguard is completely dead. Like, I think a lot of people were maybe sticking around a little bit for, okay, let's see what this round-based map is going to do. And if this isn't good, Vanguard's done.
Yeah.
And
But like
Activision might as well just, cut tail and, go to Modern
Yeah.
Warfare 2.
Like you're saying, Phil, right? It's in a way you're not wrong. Terra Maledicta did kill Vanguard zombies in the sense that it killed their new game mode.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah, it killed objective based. Like, nobody likes
that.
objective based anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
no one likes it. No one wants it. Because like it's just it's not. And again, you can enjoy stuff if you enjoy Vanguard Zombies.
Yeah,
Great, whatever.
for sure.
Again, obviously, right? But it's quite apparent that the majority of the community obviously just don't like it. It's not as fun as round base. And I know we go through this thing where after like a week a zombie map gets a little bit stale. That's just the state of zombies, unfortunately, because we consume content so fast for a game mode where we get like at most like 6 maps in a year.
Mhm.
So that's more of like a community sort of thing, I think. But like,
well, that's it's an interesting point.
But I think obviously Shinonuma, it's either gonna make or break. Well, no, it's not gonna make Vanguard. It's just going to make it so if there's something that we can reflect positively back onto Vanguard, other than the story, maybe, then that's fine.
Right.
If we can at least see what could have been, that'll be nice. So then we
Right.
can be like, okay, well, Vanguard isn't completely awful. You know,
Because the thing
it
is
could have been a great game.
that at this point, it's you kind of think it can only go up from here, right? Like
Yeah.
it can really for zombies specifically. I'm not talking about multiplayer and Warzone and how that arguably a lot of people would, yeah, a lot of people would actually argue that we're declining in that state as well. But for zombies, it's almost like, well, there's only one way to go, and that's up, right? And
Yeah.
Black Ops Cold War 2, the sequel to that game could be something interesting. But back to the point that you were talking about with how this community just soaks up the content so fast, with how oh yeah, we might get 5 or 6 maps in a year, and then the map gets stale after a week. It just kind of shows you how content deprived a lot of people actually are. And maybe deprived
Yeah.
isn't the actual word that I'm thinking of right now. That was a bad word to use. Content thirsty, I suppose. They're so thirsty for the next piece of content that they'll play the shit out of it, and then they'll get bored of it immediately.
Oh yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
they won't like maybe appreciate it for what it's worth, for like how long it can sustain them. Like, if that makes any sense, where with how Call of Duty kind of works, and how it's definitely worked for a long time, is they'll release the game, and then they'll promise all these free updates, and then they'll get the game to a state that a lot of people would also argue should have been the state of the game at launch, with all the new maps and all the new game modes and all the whatever, right? That maybe were supposed to be at launch, and then they weren't added to launch because of development cycles. Maybe the game was too demanding for them to work on it, or maybe Activision wanted them to push it out at a certain date because Activision wants to make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, which is why the Call of Duty cycle has been so the Call of Duty cycle almost, what's the word I'm looking for? The Call of Duty cycle is so vicious that
Yeah.
a lot of these games and a lot of the content in itself also doesn't have room to grow. So
No,
it also has
it
a
only has a
mental
year.
effect on the community as well. Because then you
Yeah.
you talk about, well, this is only this game, and this is going to be this game in its entirety and its glory days. This is the golden age of this game for however long people want to say it is. Like for Black Ops Cold War, what was the best time for Black Ops Cold War? Well, we have to experience it as quickly as possible, and we have to go as quickly as possible, but try to make it infinite, which is such a weird dichotomy, because you have all these people who they're so hungry for content, so much so that they'll go through it really quickly and then wonder what happened to the content that they just consumed, because they went through it so
Yeah.
quickly, instead of like going through it and like thoroughly understanding the content in a way, if that makes sense. I'm trying to find a way to articulate what I want to say, but I'm having a hard time here. Like, how quickly everybody goes through content. I think it's very ironic that a lot of the times, it's like, well, okay, now what's next? And it's like, guys, we just waited like 4 months for this one thing. What do you mean, what's next? Like, this, like,
and it's like a week or 2 weeks into getting the content.
yeah, and then everyone's like bored, or everyone's like,
it goes back.
I don't
it goes
know.
back to the argument that, like, I think in a lot of the ways for zombies content, it's more about the journey, not the destination. Well, think about it before, right? Like the hype train leading up to the map. The map comes out, the Easter egg hunt. It lasts a week. Everyone's hyped. Everyone wants to find out the next step of the story, especially for like Black Ops 3, and I would say Black Ops 4 days as well, right? Like, it was something where people were so like heavily invested into it, and like, oh my god. Then we get there, and we're like, oh, that was cool, and then that's it. People will go back, play the map, do the Easter egg, do challenges, do live streams, blah blah blah, and then everyone goes back to Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. And streams that.
I mean, the thing is with that too, dude, is I understand a lot of people are probably thinking, well, Jason, this is a video game. This is so subjective. And, how can you say that when people, if someone doesn't like that, then they don't have to play it, and they don't have to digest it, and they don't have to think about the content and how it actually affects them. Yeah, I get it. But we're talking about like the majority of the Call of Duty community here, who literally will just play it because it's new. Right?
Yeah.
They will literally just play it because it's new. And then because that's the game that's out right now, that's all they'll play. And, oh, well, this game sucks. While they're continually playing the game. I'm guilty of that too. I'm not going to lie. I'm guilty of that too. But I have my reasons for playing Vanguard. But I'm just talking about like the people who aren't content creators, like people who I guess you could maybe quote unquote say, the average Joe, the average kind of Call of Duty gamer, where,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to be so exciting, so exciting. And then like a day later, okay, where's Zombies Chronicles 2? Right? After
Where
they like
is
released a
Zombies
new
Chronicles
map.
2?
Or like the funniest thing to me too is like the same people who would argue, oh, Zombies Chronicles 2, when are you adding that? When are you adding that? Would be so fucking bored of Zombies Chronicles 2 within like 3
Oh
days.
yeah.
I
I mean,
guarantee you.
in a way, right? There's I mean, a lot of this like, remastered content and remakes and that, right? It all comes down to the original Zombies Chronicles, I feel like, and the hype and excitement that got and
Mm-hmm.
how people enjoyed it so much. And
Right.
again, I remember the hype being held up for Zombies Chronicles for a month. And I think this is where and okay, I know it sounds bad, right? Because it is a bad thing. But the 30-day exclusivity deal that they used to have.
Right.
I think in a way that kind of helped the hype keep up a little because obviously
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation people got it and then people on Xbox got it.
Right.
Obviously, we want experience of all at the same time, so
Mm-hmm.
never do that again. But I think in a way that kind of helped. And maybe because I think people thought the hype for Zombies Chronicles lasted so long, and it did, right, with fair reason because it was a good DLC pack. And
Yeah.
obviously, it was something we weren't actually expecting, and the community was a lot more tighter back then. And obviously, we had Infinite Warfare Zombies, which at the time
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing so good. But
Yeah.
and then obviously we get remastered maps in Black Ops 4. People hate them, blah 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 blah. And now we're here. Yeah,
Right.
again, people just consume content so much. And again, with Zombies Chronicles 2, it'd be a great DLC pack, but again, give it a week and people will be bored of it.
I
And
mean,
people will be like,
the whole
"Oh,
thing
I wish
is
yeah." But
like the whole thing is with content. It might sound like we're making it out to be a bad thing that people consume content quickly. Not necessarily, because if you can consume that content quickly and you can, you have kind of your formed opinion on that as like super quickly, and you understand what that piece of content means to you, then okay, maybe you consume it quickly and you have your opinion, you move on. But again, we're talking about like literally just average people. Like just like because that's what makes up the majority of this Call of Duty community as a whole. Let's be honest here. Like you have people like me, you have people like Cosmic, Noah J, Lex. You have so many of these content creators that are like 1% of this community. But we're in a place where we can like review the game and we make money off reviewing the game, and we're in a unique position. We're talking about like people who will just play the game again to just play the game because it's a new Call of Duty game, or let's just play Warzone just to play Warzone. And like the average content consumer will go through it all so quickly because it's almost like that Netflix kind of state of mind. I talked about this a little bit with DK,
yeah.
where like the Netflix thing is, oh yeah, new show, binge, and then okay, next. Da, 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 da. But then like, what do you remember? What do you remember from that show?
Yeah.
What was good about that show? Now,
Yeah,
some people
you
might
enjoy
argue
it.
that like, oh, well, you condensed all that information into one thing. Maybe you'll remember more of it. Not necessarily true. Again, not necessarily true. Because when you read things or you watch things in chunks, you're kind of forced to remember that one thing from the next day to the next day to have your retention, and that's where viewer retention comes in. You have to keep people remembering what's happening, and you have to keep it so that people want to come back for more. And with Vanguard, you have this really interesting thing where they want people to come back for more, but then the retention isn't there for some people. But then you have other people who will literally just play it to play it, which is why Sledgehammer is reporting, well, people are on our game for long periods of time. We're obviously doing good. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're doing good. That's literally just because people are playing your game to play your game because it's the newest Call of Duty game out right now.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Or people are just playing it to unlock their weapon in Warzone and then play Warzone. And then the way Warzone content works is, everyone just kind of does the same thing on Rebirth, and everyone does the same thing there. And then when the new event or something comes out, they consume that really quickly. And then they're like, oh, this is boring. And then they wait again. And what I'm trying to say here is, to bring it all to a head, is the way content is consumed with Call of Duty is so fascinating that so many people will consume it all so quickly after the build up and the hype and like, oh, I get it. Everyone wants to like experience it and they want to get in there as soon as they can to experience it. But then people like
Yeah.
throw it away so quickly. Like, I don't know if it's like a retention thing. I don't know if it's a like the culture surrounding Call of Duty with the fact that, oh, something has to be next, something has to be new. We have to get everything out for this game as quickly as possible before we go to the next game because of the yearly cycle, right? Or
Yeah.
some other factor, some other kind of mental factor with how society works and how society breeds content consumption zombies in a way. I mean, I don't know. It's just all. I could go maybe deeper into this, but I don't want to waste. I don't want to waste the whole episode talking about this. I could no,
No,
I definitely could go
mhm.
deeper into
Yeah,
this. I know for a
absolutely.
fact I can, but I
Yeah.
don't want to waste the whole episode talking about this. So,
Something I want to comment on that I picked up on was the Netflix idea that you're saying you and DK talked about, where people consume a whole series in a couple of days, and I don't mean like one season. I mean like like all 10 seasons, and that's them watched it all. Like Breaking Bad, for example, that's
mhm,
on Netflix, and that when that came out, it was the case that I'm pretty sure it was like every week a new episode came out, so the
mhm,
content was spread across. And I miss that format so much. And it's not like you can't do it yourself. If you wanted to limit yourself to watching one episode a week, you could.
right,
But I think in general that like spreading content out so that people have something to be excited for,
yeah,
but not for the sake of like trying to make it so your game is stretched so there's like hardly any content.
right,
That there's enough content within reason to enjoy it over a long period of time, but you're not feeling like you have nothing to play.
mhm,
And yeah, like you're saying with like these all this content coming in at once, it's great, but at the same time, people binge it
yeah,
because that's the state of COD and like especially zombies anyway. I mean, look at Black Ops 4, right? I know
yeah,
that game had its underlying issues, but that game had 4 maps at launch, and
mhm,
it was a great launch other than all the issues. But then people got bored,
right,
which there's no reason people should get bored because it's 4 pretty much brand new maps. I know Blood's
yeah,
a remake and Classified as well, but I would say Classified so unique in its own sense that it's nothing compared to 5. Like they
right,
feel completely different. The layout's the same, but everything
yeah.
else about the map is like just it feels so different.
Yeah, and then and on the other hand, too, you're also talking about it's literally a video game at the end of the day,
Exactly.
too.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Video.
lot of it is also subjective, where
Exactly.
like you can have your opinion on Blood of the Dead, you can have your opinion on Classified. Um, so there's subjectivity to opinions on the
Yeah.
content, but I think there is an inherent objectivity to how the content is distributed and how people literally consume content so quickly in this community that is an objective fact that people go through everything so quickly in this community that then they're like, okay, now what? Well, we just spent so much
Yeah.
time waiting for this one thing. Don't you want to like digest it? Don't you want to like figure out what it means to you? Because media nowadays has kind of become this thing where, yeah, you just kind of binge it and move on and you don't think about it. Well, why do you not think about it so much? Because there's so much out there to watch. I just have to watch everything. I have to watch every episode. I have to watch every side series. I have to watch every whatever, right? So many people go through this cycle so viciously and so quickly that they'll watch something and then they won't remember something from literally a week ago.
Yeah.
And that's not even an over exaggeration. Like people will literally watch for the sake of watching to complete a checklist of like,
Oh
well,
yeah. Yeah.
did you see Avengers Infinity War? I sure did see Avengers Infinity War. And then I also saw this and I saw this and I saw this and I saw this. And then like a lot of these people sometimes don't even remember anything about it because it's so mainstream and they want to like fit in or something that like
Yeah.
people are like, oh yeah, that was a good movie, and like, aha, superhero, bang bang shoot, whatever. It's like it's so good, guys,
Yeah.
and then like, tell me one thing about the movie besides that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I'm just a crazy whack
Well, no,
job.
I mean that's the
But
thing, though, right? Is that people love to binge stuff. I mean, like for example, you had so many movies come out this year that are great. Like you had a Multiverse of Madness, you
mhm.
had Morbius, obviously, which is a great movie. And if you're watching the podcast, you should go watch Morbius right now. It's a good movie.
Okay, hang on a
Uh,
second.
yeah.
What the fuck is going on with all this Morbius stuff?
So
What is going
essentially, right?
on? I'm
Listen,
seeing
listen.
everybody go
It's
batshit
it's more
crazy
it's
about
Morbin
this.
time. It's the summer of Morbius. It's okay. So essentially, right? It's a giant inside joke. The movie's very mediocre, but it's okay, right? People call it
Okay.
like dog shit, but I think we're so used to the style of like Marvel movies and like superhero movies where it's like you know how there's like so much comedic relief in a lot of movies and stuff as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like especially Avengers, right? Like someone blows up a building, and someone blows up a building. Captain America, that's gonna leave a mark. Something like like
Ah,
generic lines in that, right? But
right.
with Morbius, it's more that it's just the most like generic, like it's not even like a superhero movie. It's the most generic, like kind of Marvel movie ever, right? But
Mm.
like again, it's not really Jared Leto's fault. He does an okay job at being Michael Morbius, but it's more the script just isn't there. And
Hmm.
to make up for that, I think the people that watch the movie, it started out with just people being like leaving comments like Morbius is a movie. It has a plot. It has actors. It has a soundtrack. Obviously, Morbius is the most movie of all time. Leaving out the critical words of like great, because it's just it's a movie and it's really
Okay.
like mediocre. But it's all stems from the fact the movie's mediocre, and
Okay.
people want to make fun of that and how mediocre of a movie it is, right?
Okay.
So that's why you have like a morbing, right? Which obviously he doesn't say in the movie, but that's something that people have made up for him. Like, stand back, I'm about a morb, because he
Like
doesn't say it or anything
I've
like
seen
that,
so
right?
many people on Twitter, like it's almost like an obsession.
Yeah,
Like
and
I'm seeing so many people
the
comment the same fucking thing over and over again. It's like, is this movie good? Is this movie like what's happening here? Like it's
it's
a
it's
what?
amazing. It's amazing, right? And you have such good memes. Like there's one where it says, "Honey, we've guests over. Bring up the fine china," and it's a popcorn bucket. And you like when you go to the movies, right? And you get like your
Hmm.
movie based thing, and it's like the Morbius themed popcorn bucket, and then the soda cup as well. And you have other ones like there's one that's captioned "Ladies one at a time," and it's a Morbius bed set. So you have like your bed, and it's like a giant cutout of the movie, obviously, and stuff, right? But no, the movie, yeah, it's definitely weird. It hasn't really happened before.
So,
I think it's
so
kind of the case where that movie
I,
that was really bad, but people love it. What's it? The one from ages ago where like the guy says, I can't remember I did not hit her. I did not hit her. That
the room,
was
the room.
the room. That's it, right? It's kind of like that in a sense. How the movie's so bad, but people love it so much because it's bad in a way. It's like that where it's just the plot is not there, but it's funny to make fun of, and obviously like it's even like main marketing, like KFC and that they've posted memes about it. They posted a picture of Colonel Sanders and then like half of the Morbius face. It's amazing. It's
Well, all
so
right
good,
then. I mean,
and
I guess
that
this is the new
explains.
meme going around.
Yeah, and I think it'll be around for a while as well, to be honest. Yeah, so Morbius is like a mediocre movie.
Mm.
There's some guy who live streamed it on Twitch for like over 24 hours, and he had a concurrent like 5,000 viewers, and I was one of them. And it was just the movie on repeat, and everyone was in the
Ah.
comment like in the live stream. the guy was reacting to it obviously in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was just this like just this great fandom of people coming together and making fun of the movie. Like whenever Michael Morbius would turn into Morbius,
Uh-huh.
it'd be like it's in the comments. It's Morbin time. He's going Morb mode. He's morbing, right?
It's Morbin
It's
time.
it's Morbin time, and yeah, like whenever there was like a bad joke in the movie, everyone would just spam comedic relief, comedic relief, like that, like standard like Marvel stuff,
You
like
know,
haha, funny side character,
th-
comedic relief.
this is like this is weird. Like I don't know if it's just me, but like this is weird. Like
It is weird.
if anything, this also kind of ties in to what we were talking about how people consume things so quickly. Everyone is consuming this meme at such an accelerated rate that I mean, we've seen this before with other memes too, with "We are number one" from like back in the
Yeah,
day,
but that had a
and all
certain
these other
charm
memes.
to it.
But that
There's
I know that had a certain charm to it, but like so many people will just go through it so quickly. It's like phases. There's so many
Yeah,
phases to all this. Like
and then
for the next like
there's
3 weeks, guys, it's gonna be Morbius, and it's gonna be like
yeah.
oh, look at this crazy meme. And the next week, the week after that, it's going to be like, I don't know, bread. It's like,
Well,
fucking, I don't
here's the
know.
thing, right? Despite the movie being so bad, it's the best-selling movie um, on Apple TV, and the only reason why it is the best-selling movie on
Jesus,
Apple
because of the
TV
memes,
is
right?
because people are wanting to make memes out of it. Exactly, and yeah, I mean, I don't know how well it did at the box office. There's a meme going about that it made $1 trillion in the box office, or surpassing every movie ever made because of how good it
So,
is.
I mean,
One
he
more
who
than
controls the
$1 million.
memes controls the entertainment
Yeah, and
at this
honestly,
point.
right, here's the thing. I think we'll look back on Morbius in like 10 years and think, actually, it wasn't that bad. Yeah. And it's going to get a sequel because
Oh
of the
no.
memes.
Is
It's
Morbius
100%.
is Morbius going to turn into the prequels?
Honestly, maybe. Listen, I think Morbius 2 could be the best movie of all time, and I'm really excited for it because of the memes.
Well,
That's
all
what's
right
exciting.
then.
When we get the first trailer for Morbius 2, oh my god. But anyway, that's enough about Morbius.
I
Um,
mean, I mean, I don't know about I'm gonna morb or whatever the fuck.
it's Morbin
I've
time.
it's Morbin
Stand back.
time.
I'm
What,
about
we're
to
gonna have a
Morb.
Morbius Power Rangers crossover now? And then fucking what is one of the Red Rangers gonna show up? It's gonna be like,
Yes.
ah, it's Morbin time,
It
and then
is Morbin time.
swear. Um, but anyways, speaking of content. And speaking of people consuming content, we're talking about how, people in the community kind of go through things really quickly. I feel like one of the things in the community that is actually appreciated and it does actually stand the test of time when it comes to nostalgia and it comes to the overall impact it had on the zombies community, and that would be the Z House. Now,
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of the Z House. I'm literally wearing a Z House shirt right now. And I think it was a great thing for the community.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is interesting, however, is the Smith Plays Patrick, obviously. He posted a video the other day about why it didn't work out and what ended up happening. And, I just think it's really, really interesting the points that he made about, the team and how people just kind of had to move on and people had their own things going for it. Um, which kind of gives you a little bit of an insight that I think a lot of people maybe glorify content houses and glorify
Yeah.
a lot of these like collaborations is like, whoa, this is the next best thing since the wheel and since sliced bread and whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, they're cool, but a lot of people don't really appreciate how much logistically goes into something like that. And I think
Yeah.
someone who is a part of a team that did have a lot of moving parts and a lot of logistics. So like, Patrick with the Z House, giving people a little bit of an insight as to like the realism perspective and the real like
Mhm.
what ended up happening with it and why it didn't work out is very fascinating. I think can be eye-opening to a lot of people because again, people kind of put content on this pedestal of immortality. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is, the content will forever be there and will always be there. And, I can always just go back and relive that. But a lot of people also consume it as quickly as possible too, because there's so much there. I have to watch as much videos as possible. I have to watch as many episodes of whatever as possible. And then when they go back to rewatch it, they'll never have that first feeling again. And that first feeling maybe oftentimes was dampened by I have to watch everything so quickly, but whatever. But the thing is with content that's actually worthwhile and content that's actually like super like evergreen, like that evergreen content that you can
Evergreen
just go
content. Yeah.
back to and you can always just watch, and things that actually I think are just like, hey, you want to goof around, you want to watch a really funny video, yeah, you can watch a Z House video and remember how things were at a different time of the zombies community and how really different it was. I mean, it was a different community back then, you
Oh,
gotta admit. I mean, it
absolutely.
was very,
It was
very
a lot more
interesting.
positive, passionate. Um, but yeah, I mean, going back to it, it's like a slice of time, to be honest,
For sure.
with the original Z House, and where it brings us back to the days that we would stay up all night playing zombies, without
Hmm.
needing a reason to go for high rounds. We just enjoyed doing it. It was fun for us.
Right.
And obviously with these great content creators, making content, making great top fives, top tens, review videos, things like that. Yeah. And again, it was just funny because everyone in the Z House had great chemistry together.
Yeah.
And on it, yeah, it was definitely good. It's a shame, obviously, it could have been something bigger, going on for longer. But like Pat said in his video, in a way, it was kind of designed to fail. Just because at the time there wasn't too many people actually making content in the Z House for the second one,
Right.
if I remember correctly from the
Yeah.
video, because everyone had their own other projects, which you should do. You should
Of
expand your
course.
horizons. You don't have to do the same thing forever.
Of
But if
course.
you make it a content house based around a game, obviously you kind of we want to play that game, so then you're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing
so
is,
it's
when that
yeah,
game is specifically Call of Duty Zombies as well,
yeah,
like
exactly,
like he also said in the video, you can't imagine the Z House still being around during the time of Vanguard, even if it was super successful, because of just how
yeah.
Vanguard has been. And Vanguard is just
Like what
meh.
what are they going to post? Like
Yeah,
let's put it
exactly.
for
What are they
like
gonna post?
Easter egg speed run, with the boys, and as fun as they are to watch, Black Ops 2 top 10 weapons, it's great, it's fun, but would it have made enough revenue? Probably not. I mean, probably it would probably, but it wasn't because of the
Eh,
content, it's because of them.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean that's the thing with who they are and the personalities that each of them have. I think they definitely could have done more with the Z House for sure if there weren't other outside factors and other things that they were working on, which, let's be honest, man, a lot of the projects that a lot of the other Z House guys have worked on and are still currently working on are fucking dope. Like,
yeah,
you got Matt with Team Playback, and he's got his whole thing. He's doing really well for himself, it seems like. Chucky literally works for Mr. Beast. Lonely Mailbox makes music. Kennedy's got his career going on. Like, this is some cool stuff that they're working on, and this is some really cool stuff that they were able to continue with. I mean, as someone who knows Matt and someone who's met Jack, like, these guys are such down to earth guys that you're so fucking happy for them that they're
yeah,
doing this. And I mean, these guys are super passionate. Both of them are. I mean, I haven't met Chucky yet, but I'm sure Chucky's super passionate with what he does as well. I mean, he's literally an analyst for Mr. Beast. But I'm just talking about, like, with personal experience talking to both Matt and Jack. Like, these guys are
mhm,
super laid back, definitely passionate about what they do, and you can't there's nothing but happiness you can feel for them. I
yeah,
think, and the fact is, something like the Z House is just another stepping stone, another thing they can put on their resume. Like, yeah, I did a content house, that's like another experience that they can have, and they can use that as influence and use that as fuel for the fire. Like, hey, I
yeah,
did that, I did that. I
mhm,
can do more things. I can keep going, but, you know, long story short, I'm really happy for all of those guys. Obviously, Lex, he's
yeah,
still doing Call of Duty stuff. Lex seems like a really chill, down to earth dude as well. I mean, I haven't met Lex yet. I mean, and the Smith plays. I mean, obviously he's stepped away for the most part from a lot of zombie stuff. He's been doing a little bit more recently. I know he's been doing a
yeah,
little bit recently,
a
but
little
he
bit here
seems
and
like a
there,
really
yeah,
chill guy. Seems like he'd be a chill guy to just hang out and have a beer with or something. Uh,
mhm,
but I don't know. But if anything, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about everyone wants to watch everything so quickly that the Z House content will be there for people to chase the nostalgia high.
oh yeah,
And I think that's where Call of Duty is such a trap for a lot of people, I think, where, oh,
mhm,
this will never be as good as Black Ops 2. Oh, this will never be as good as Modern Warfare 2. And people are always trying to chase that nostalgia of those previous games. Why do you think so many people are so hyped for Modern Warfare 2 right now coming out at the end of the year? Because of the namesake, because of the characters. It's nostalgia. It's, what are they going to do next with these characters? Oh, look at my childhood. My childhood's being remastered. And it's always that, like, high of, chasing something that you will ultimately consume it really quickly. It's because
yeah,
everyone wants to, do it really quickly. And, something with the Z House, yeah, I think a lot of people maybe didn't take it for granted, but it kind of goes back to that saying, sometimes you don't know when you're in the glory days.
yeah,
And
exactly,
the Z House is one of those things where, yeah, I feel like that was such a high point for the community that a lot of people maybe didn't realize that was going to be one of, if not the highest point of the community.
yeah,
Because I think a lot of people really thought, oh, it can only go up from here, right? Which I know I said previously, like with if Shinonuma Reborn is bad, I said, well, it can only go up from here, which theoretically that is true. But we'll keep in mind that I try to be optimistic. So,
Yeah.
uh, I think I know a lot of what I've been talking about today might sound like incoherent rambling to a lot of people, but I'm doing the best I can to articulate my thoughts about this because I think there's really such a psychology to all this content and to how people consume it that,
Yeah.
it's really kind of it kind of really tells you a lot about where we are as a society as well. So
Hmm.
I just, looking back on something like the Z House, like Vanguard and Black Ops Cold War, how has that maybe benefited people in this community? Because the communities are almost like little societies in a way, too, where you also have to think about how this affects those people and what kinds of people make up the majority of that community and what kind of values some of these people share in that community to, uphold the principles of what it means to actually play a good Call of Duty game or what it actually means to consume good content. So you got to really
Yeah.
think about all of these things going forward because of how much of a dud Vanguard has been for so many people. I think the only logical conclusion to me is that you really have to dissect what it actually means to consume content, and you really have to think back to everything that you've ever been taught and everything you've ever learned about Call of Duty to really understand, like, okay, how have I been consuming this content and how has it really affected me personally? Not even just as a content creator, but like I said before, the average Call of Duty player who will just continually come back to the game every year with no fail, but then still say that it fucking sucks. But they'll still play it because, it's just the new thing
It's
to
Call of
play
Duty.
and people
Yeah.
just go about it because that's what everyone else is doing, right?
Yeah.
So you just kind of really, I've been really wanted to dissect it a lot more recently, and I've been really wanted to be more. I want to be more thoughtful with a lot of the stuff that I think about and a lot of the stuff that I do. That's why I take such pride in the content that I make when I do tutorials because I want to give value to people because I know how annoying the fucking game is and I know how frustrating it is to do certain challenges. I want to help
Yeah.
people do that better so that they can experience content, but then also give people the experience of, hey, by the way, this is really, really annoying. Think about how annoying this is. And then, okay, well, once you do that, then you get your new piece of content. So it's like, is this worth it to you or not? Again, it might sound maybe like I'm going too deep into this, and it might sound like that oh, Jason, you're just a fucking whack job. But like, I that's what I genuinely think. Like it might seem like on the surface, oh, this guy's doing a tutorial, this guy's help, he just wants to give his tips and tricks. But like genuinely, I know how annoying Vanguard is, and I know how annoying a lot of these weapon challenges are. So when I give tips and tricks, I also want people to really consider, is this really worth my time?
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. You want to give value to the content you make, and it's one of the things as well. When I do my review videos, on my other channel, um, I definitely are definitely I want to give something to the viewer, and I want them to know if something's worth their time or not. Like for example, like Ghost is one of my favorite games of all
mhm,
time, but I'll be the first to admit that the lobbies aren't super populated, and you
right.
probably shouldn't buy it just for multiplayer. So that's where I have to kind of bite the bullet and be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't buy it, even though it's a
Yeah.
great game and it's super underrated. But no, definitely, yeah, about the value and the content and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so special about Z House is
Yeah,
there's so much value in that content that people will both be entertained and maybe even learn something new about zombies or you know they'll even get inspired to do fun things with their friends because the really when you break it down at this point the Z House is also a collection of friends hanging out and making content too.
yeah,
And when you have your friends making content with you, that can also be a different perspective of how things are because then you're not just maybe thinking about it in the sense of content, but you're also thinking about chemistry and you're also thinking about how y'all get along. Which of course both are very important. You want to have chemistry and you want to figure out how to pull the analytics. But
hmm
with the Z House, it had something super special there where everybody was friendly to each other. Everyone was a friend, and you also had the fact that everyone was super knowledgeable what they were doing with YouTube. So you almost had this like perfect storm for this temporary amount of time. But again, because everyone had all their personal projects, which obviously people are going to have personal projects. Z House didn't become the Sidemen. The Z House didn't become the Phase House, you know, all that whatever stuff. Which, again, the logical conclusion to this is going to be the Z House will fail ultimately because of, even if it was super successful for a handful of years, we're in a state right now in the community that something like that could not be sustained. And
Yeah,
I hate to burst
absolutely.
people's bubbles with like, oh, when's Z House 3 coming back? Like, oh, you know, people are people gonna make more Z House videos? Are they gonna do more Z House, whatever, right? Because I know there are people out there like that. I know for a fact there are. But I hate to burst your bubble. It's just not economically viable right now to do a content house, not even just a content house specifically on zombies, but a content house specifically on Call of Duty right now. Like you have Call of Duty teams and esports teams and content creators who assign to those esports teams to like promote the brand or whatever. That's a completely different story because this is like competitive. This is, you know, a brand promotion. This is building a fan base of different proportions as something like the Z House, which is just strictly a content house. With the Call of Duty League, and let's say, for example, Minnesota Rocker, you know, they're owned by a parent company. They're owned by Version 1. Version 1 has their own brand that they have to promote out there, and they need to have content creators, and it's like this huge conglomerate. Whereas the Z House started off as just 5 content creators collaborating. And the collaborations for something like that can only go so far, which is why it's only realistic that the Z House was going to ultimately
Yeah.
not be a thing anymore.
Yeah, I
And
think at the end of the day as well with it is obviously the whole content of zombies as well. Like we've talked about before, is we don't get that much content for it.
mhm,
So I think again with the people themselves in the Z House, their chemistry is so good that if they did anything else, it would work as well.
yeah.
Some of their most popular videos aren't zombies videos.
Oh
Like there's a
yeah.
Pokemon Go video that did
Yeah.
absolutely crazy for them, right? Because that game was crazy for their channel as well for
Yeah.
when they were posting it. But I think ultimately with the Z House in terms of zombie based content, it would never work out in the long
Right.
run. Just
Because
because
yeah.
that's
And like the thing is, I'm not saying that Z House can't become like a big company like Version 1 or like Misfits Gaming, like they own Florida Mutineers. You know, I'm not saying that they can't become that. What I'm saying is because of the type of content and the type of, you know, it's a zombies themed thing that unfortunately where we are right now it's just not viable. And
yeah.
in the future, like we saw with the future trends of how Call of Duty also and zombies and the community was so divided, you had this fissure between and just everybody, even come Black Ops 4. Like I feel like the Z House maybe could have been dissolved by Black Ops 4, considering how disinterested pretty much every single member of that content group was in Black Ops 4. So, if anything, with the Z House, second Z House being the last Z House in 2017, was almost the perfect timing for it. Because then you could also tell when people are sticking around just to stretch it out too. And
Yeah.
knowing them and knowing people like Matt, he will not want to stretch things out just for the sake of stretching it out because he's not dumb. It's what it basically
Yeah.
boils down to. He's not dumb. And I don't think any of the other creators are dumb either. So, if anything, 2017 with the second Z House being the perfect time for it to be like the last one and how divided the community was in Black Ops 4, maybe the Z House would have ended in 2018 if the Z House actually had become something as huge as FaZe Clan or whatever, right? And I think even if it did become as big as FaZe Clan or anything like that, this community would be completely different.
Mhm.
This community would be
Yeah.
completely different, and how we also view content of Call of Duty, and how maybe other people would spring up and try to compete with the Z House, and there would be this really interesting thing happening. But that's just all speculation. No need to do that right now. We're just talking about the facts and the eventual the eventual end point to all of this, which is bottom line is Z House was awesome. It is still an awesome part of the community. I love it for what it is. However, Patrick is right. It was just eventually meant to end. And whereas maybe fail, I don't think it would fail. I don't think it's a failure. I think
Yeah.
it did what it did and it did what it needed to be. But, I just
I
think
think it
that,
goes. I think yeah, it goes back
yeah.
to the saying that ultimately all good things have to come to an end.
Right,
So
exactly.
So exactly, yeah, and for the time it was about, it was really good. I think we just need to appreciate it for what it was,
Yeah.
and yeah. But who knows? Maybe when Zombies comes back, there'll be a new line of content creators that do their own version of the Z House. But
And you never know if it's viable, if it's economically viable, if there's something there to sustain people to
yeah,
do that and to have a zombies crew again, a zombies studio, a zombies whatever. Absolutely. I would love to see it happen again. But right now, it's not very realistic.
that's true.
Even as optimistic as I am, I
Yeah,
have, you have to face the facts that something like that for zombies is not realistic at the moment. Um, but speaking of content houses, one real quick thing before we end off today's episode of the podcast, our friends over at Stack Up actually have a veterans content house in Los Angeles, which is really cool to just have veteran content creators collaborate, and it's like a good space for veterans to be expressive and to be involved with their organization with Stack Up and things like that, which I think is freaking awesome.
Mhm.
Which also ties into our Stack Up charity event that we're going to be doing on June 3rd, coming up very soon. We're really excited for that. Can't wait to get into that and raise some more money for veterans through the power of
Absolutely.
gaming. Really, really appreciate everybody who's been following all of the stuff on Twitter and, all the stuff we've been building up to it for about a month now. And later on in the week, we're going to be talking about, some of the things we're going to be doing during the event, because obviously we're going to be playing Call of Duty. So we're going to be talking about some of the things we'll do during the event later on in the week. And stay tuned, everybody. I think this will be really fun. And
Absolutely.
we're glad to be back for a second year helping out veterans. And
It's always a good time when we do it, isn't it? It's
yeah,
always it's good fun, and obviously it's for a good cause as well.
absolutely. And, the guys over at Stack Up are so nice. They're super supportive of streamers. They're super supportive of their community. And they're just really nice people, ultimately. So it's always great to be working with not only just a good cause, but nice people who are part of that good
Yes.
cause as well. And it makes me want to come back. It makes me want to do more things with them. So, we're glad to be back for a second year for Call to Arms 7. And I guess that's about it for today's episode of the podcast, man. We talked about a good chunk of stuff today,
We
actually.
did, yes.
Talked about Morbius.
Morbius.
We talked
Get Morbed.
about what else we talked about? Vanguard, how we consume content. We talked about the Z House. Talked a little bit about Modern Warfare 2. Pretty action-packed episode today, I will say.
Absolutely.
So, any other closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
I just think if you haven't seen Morbius, go see it. It's a great movie. Best movie of all time. Um and yeah, just stay tuned for our charity event. Obviously, again, we're going to reveal some more information coming up in the next few days about what we'll be exactly doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the Z House was great as well. And it's good.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to remember. But sometimes, again, like I said, not sometimes. All good things have to come to an end eventually. So, yeah,
And also thank you to all the Z House guys for trying something new, being ambitious about it. You got to appreciate
Mhm.
people going out and trying new things and being ambitious. So, thank you for doing that, because it's definitely, I think, inspired a lot of other people in the community, including myself, to pursue content creating and things like that. So, definitely a really good thing that they did for a lot of people, I think. So, um
Absolutely.
with that said, everybody, thank you all so much for watching episode 90 of the Division Z podcast. What was your favorite part? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And with that said, check out all the links down below in the description so you stay up to date with everything that we do. Check out the Stack Up donation link. Check out the Division Z Twitter for updates and things like that. Check out both of our YouTube channels. And we'll see you guys on Friday, June 3rd for the Stack Up Veterans Charity event. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.